But if they're in your room and it's difficult to throw them out, some people are scared, you know. Could jump at me any second, especially the sisters, you know. You can't get too close to some of these bugs. So yes, you can spray them or kill them or in any way do something about them. It's not haram.
That's good news since I killed a lot of mosquitoes last summer. Zusters, hebben jullie nog vragen?
We'll take one more question because
yes.
give them time to prepare for
yes,
let's
go. One more question. Nog één vraag?
The sisters, yeah. Let's see if they have
sisters, oké. Zusters? Jullie hebben geen vragen? Oké.
Assalamu alaikum. I have another question about organ donation. Why is it not permissible for us Muslims to donate our organs to non-Muslims?
Good question. As I mentioned, most of our scholars, they say you can donate an organ. However, the recipient of that organ, the one who's receiving it, must be Muslim. Now, what's the answer to this question? Why? Are we discriminating? Shouldn't we be people who have, love and compassion and want to save all lives? First of all, we as Muslims, it is our responsibility to save the lives of any human. If you see someone drowning and you can save that person, you have to save that person. Saving a life is mandatory in the religion of Islam. Now, when it comes to donating your own organ, the reason why that person receiving the organ must be Muslim is this. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. You as a Muslim, you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are your organs and body parts which you used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now this same organ, if it's going to someone who will use your own organs to commit sins, to commit acts of corruption, how do you feel about that? You lived 50, 60 years of your lives and you used this body to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to pray and worship God and obey the commands of Allah. And now this organ is given to someone who's disobeying God every day. Is this acceptable to you? See, this is the problem that some of our scholars have with this. That you as a believer, this is part of your own body. And you use this organ to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now this organ is going into the hands of someone who will be using it to sin. I don't want my body parts to be used by anyone to sin. I don't want that to happen. Yes, I want my body parts to go to someone whose life will be saved, but who will use it properly. Who will use it in a way that satisfies Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not in a way that angers God. Give me an example. Let's say you've lived your entire life and you've never drank alcohol in obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't want my body part to go to someone who will drink alcohol and use it to drink alcohol. I don't feel comfortable with that. Now to get to your comment or question, does that mean that we're not going to save lives? No. You still have a moral obligation to save lives. But if there are two people who want to receive your organ, donate it to the Muslim one. Because the Muslim person, yes, we're not saying that Muslims don't sin. No one is claiming that. We're not infallible. But when you give it to a Muslim, the chances of that person obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more than an atheist who doesn't even recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who doesn't even obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you have to choose between these two, choose the Muslim. And I tell you, there will always be on this planet, because look, 1/5 of the population are Muslims. You'll always find a Muslim who needs your organ. Assalamu alaikum. So give the priority to that Muslim because of this point that I mentioned. Yes, brother. You have something to say about this?
Yes. Because I don't agree, because by the same logic, if I'm ill, I would want to receive an organ as well. And I don't discriminate that, oh no, it has to be a Muslim from who I'm going to receive it. someone else is willing to give it to me, who might not be believing, or I don't know what his or her status is. He might not be believing, but he's still willing to give it to me. Why should I not be giving it to that person? And I don't know if that person is going to sin or not. So I'm already judging him beforehand. I don't even know what he's going to do. But you're saying that, oh, he might do it. But you don't even know.
No, brother, we're not judging that person. No one is passing a judgment here. But this person who's not a Muslim, okay? I ask you this question. Are they obeying God or not?
You don't know who you are giving it to. The system is like that.
No, if it goes, no, you can say. I'm not sure what the system here is in the Netherlands, but in many parts of the world, even including in the United States, you can specify who the organ goes to. You can say, I will donate only to a Muslim. You have that option, you have that right. You're not forced just to give it to anyone. No, you can choose who you can give it to. So my point is, people who are not Muslims, we're not saying they don't deserve to live. No. Yes, we should also try to save their lives. But your very body organ, the organ that you have as a Muslim, and you obey and you recognize the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should want this organ to someone who also recognizes Allah, who also obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And if you don't, if you have...
There's always someone. I'm telling you, we have 1.5 billion Muslims. There's always someone who will need your organ.
No, I mean, if you are ill, and a non-believing person
yes,
wants to give it to you.
What's the problem? What's the problem? You
sinned with that.
Broeder, het is bijna tijd om te bidden.
Yes, they may have sinned with that, but because your life depends on it, it's better than dying, of course. Yes, if there are two people, a Muslim who's donating an organ to you, and a non-Muslim, take the Muslim, obviously. You know the body parts have an impact on the soul? I've read articles, scientific articles, about people who've had a heart transplant. You know, someone who died, whose heart was donated to someone else. You know, sometimes they have memories and flashes of the back, which some things they've never done. Because that memory sometimes is stored in the heart. So my point is, the organ you're receiving has an impact. So that's why if you can choose, if there are two donors, one a Muslim and one a non-Muslim, choose the Muslim if you can. Yes, if there is no Muslim to give you, and your life depends on it, that's fine. It's okay. Well, no one's saying it's haram. You can take that organ. But my point is, there are other reasons, of course, which our scholars have made this law. But this is one reason, is that you as a human being, created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you use your body parts to worship Allah. So when there are people out there who need your body parts, give it to the one who worships God. Don't give it to the one who's not worshiping God. So this is something which is very important that we have to consider. Of course, there's more room to discuss this. We're not discriminating here, brother. Please don't consider this an act of discrimination. There's a lot of philosophy behind it. We're not saying that these people are not good people. But the point is, these people are not following the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, they may be ignorant. They're not doing it out of stubbornness. That's fine. But the point is, they're not following the path of Allah. I would rather give my organ to someone who is following the path of Allah. Because this organ that I have, who gave it to me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I want to give it to someone who obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, sister, and we'll take this as a last comment or question.
Well, I think you have a very valid point in saying that if you can choose, you should choose the Muslim. But the problem is that in the Netherlands, we are not allowed to choose who will receive our organs after our death. So that's the first point. And the second point is that even if this would be possible, organ transplantation should take place as soon as possible after the death, preferably within 15 hours. And they should be DNA matched. So it's actually quite hard to choose who receives your organ. And especially in the Netherlands, we are not allowed to do that. So what should we do now? Should we register? Should I register as an organ donor, or should I not? Well, I know that I'm not allowed to choose who will receive my organ.
That's a good question, assuming that you have no way of choosing who receives. Yeah, there is no way, legally for you to choose. I would have to check the ruling of the ulama, the fatwa, because each scholar would have, a ruling over here. So I can't give you a general answer. Some of the scholars will allow it, as long as you don't know 100% that this is going to someone, who's committing sins, or who doesn't believe in God, who's an atheist. They say that's fine. As long as you don't have that knowledge, you can give it to save a human life. Some scholars might have an issue with it. They say you can only donate if you know that it's going to a Muslim. So this really goes back to the fatwa of the ulama. I can double check on exactly which scholar says which opinion, but we have differences of opinion here.
Thank you.
May Allah bless you, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, it has been my honor to be amongst you tonight. Inshallah, we all benefited from one another and learned about the religion of Islam. And hope to see you, inshallah, after the salah for the lecture. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you. بحق فاطمة الزهراء.